Hey, what up, Change Clothes Logic here. I'm going to be giving you guys an updated tour of my setup as promised. I'm going to be showing you through some of my gear selection, telling you some crazy stories about how I obtained some of this stuff, and I'm going to explain how it helps me as a blind gamer and content creator give you the content that you enjoy. Ready? Roll the new intro. A lot of you have been asking over the past couple of years in the live streams, the video comments, as well as in the community Discord, which will be linked in the description, for an updated and frankly better produced setup tour, and I can't really blame you guys at all. But thanks to Apple releasing Final Cut for iPad Pro recently, and I did just get an iPad Pro recently as well, I'll be able to bring you guys much better produced content, including this video right here. Over the next few minutes, I'm going to take you through my setup, tell you why I picked some of the specific equipment I chose, the story of how I work with some major gaming companies, peripheral manufacturers, and custom builders to acquire some of the gear, and I'll also give you a peek into what it looks like behind the scenes to start a live stream. Over the past 4 years, I've been collecting various pieces of gear as I've run into a problem or have reached the limit of the equipment I already had. Some things like the PC monitor and main peripherals are things that every setup has and things that I can't live without. But certain things that I've added to my setup, like the Elgato equipment on this platform up here, have taken my production game to a whole new level. So first of all, let's talk about ergonomics. So the first thing that I have to take into account, and something that you guys might not notice on stream because you usually can only see from my rib cage and up, I'm a pretty tall guy. Most people think gaming chairs are uncomfortable, but the back of this goes all the way up to my shoulders, and it really helps promote a healthy posture during long editing and streaming sessions. I've also got this Nebula wrist rest from Amazon. It's pretty inexpensive and matches my desk mats really well, and also helps keep my wrist straight when I'm gaming and typing scripts for videos. Just remember, when designing your setup, ergonomics is really important for body posture and long-term health, but certain elements can help a lot of low vision users with accessibility, and I'm going to touch on that a little later in the video. Let's move on to the equipment. The PC you see on my left is the centerpiece of all of this stuff. Lady Logic, my wonderful wife, is the one who got me this PC as a present, and it has been driving all of the content and live streams you've seen on the channel for the past 4 years. I've become kind of a minimalist in my older age, so this PC is just perfect for me. It's enough to drive everything on this desk that I'm about to show you, and I have just enough overhead so that when I'm streaming and gaming, my tower isn't crying out for help in the corner. Next, we've got my main peripherals, and I'll start with this keyboard on my lap here. This is the Drop TKL low profile control keyboard. It's the first custom keyboard I've ever made, and I've customized it to fit the aesthetics of my setup as well as the typing feel that I prefer. Next to it is my Razer mouse, and I've had this ever since I've started gaming 6 years ago, so it's even older than the computer I'm using it with. It's seen a whole lot of mileage and it's starting to double click, so I think it's time for an upgrade. Let me know in the comments what you guys suggest for a wired USB mouse for someone with catcher's mitt hands. I've shown you all the main IL on my desk, but I just want to give you a peek behind everything for a moment. Cable management is a super underrated part of building a setup. You could have the most powerful and aesthetically pleasing space on the internet, but it can be completely ruined if your desktop is covered in a spidery mess of cables and dongles. Now I want to talk to you guys about what I think is one of the most important aspects of building out your setup as a blind or visually impaired gamer. You guys want to have clear, crisp, accurate audio. Sound quality and accuracy are the things that help me stay alive and compete the most. Being able to hear the most subtle audio cues in the environment that you're gaming in, as well as having an accurate representation of what the developer intends for you to hear in the environment, can be the difference between a blind or visually impaired creator being able to keep up with their sighted counterparts or not. My audio interface is an Elgato Wave XLR. I want to give a shout out to Techvania, who hasn't been creating content for a while, but you guys should still check out his content anyway. He creates some really high quality tech review videos, and he does the occasional video game live streams, which can be pretty fun. He also built another keyboard that I have, so thank you so much for sending over this interface. It's super clear, feature rich, and powerful enough to drive what I'm about to show you next. And by show you, I mean explain, because I've been wearing them the whole time. These are my Sennheiser HD 650s. Unfortunately, Sennheiser as it used to exist is no longer. Let's get an F in the comments for a legendary audio company. They've been running for decades, and they've made some of the most sought after equipment in history. But these things right here are of an open back design. They require a lot of power to drive, but they have an amazing sound stage. And I'm not going to get too far into the weeds, but that just means that they will put audio wherever it is in the stereo field. It doesn't just do side to side, it does front and back. This is the Tonar BM700. It is a $12 microphone that I got off Amazon I don't know how many years ago, and I've got it mounted on a no-name scissor arm that I got from eBay around the same time. This scissor arm also cost $12. When I first got this microphone, I didn't really have a very good audio source, so it was kind of an underwhelming experience. But as soon as I received the Wave XLR and slapped a basic vocal chain on the channel strip and wavelink, I don't think I'm ever gonna have to upgrade to anything else. Now we're going to move on to my monitor. Now this shouldn't be super important to a blind or visually impaired creator, but monitor placement is actually extremely important for people who have usable vision still. Not only is placement important, but the type of monitor is also important, and what I've got here is actually not a monitor, and there's a really important reason for that. This is the Amazon Fire Edition 32-inch TV, and the reason that I chose a Fire Edition TV is not just because they're inexpensive for the sharpness and brightness that I require, but they've also got text-to-speech on them. So I'm able to accessibly change all of the contrast and brightness settings that I need to. And not only that, but it's VESA compatible, so that really helps with the placement. I'm able to mount it and tilt and move it whichever way I need, and that actually does change depending on what I'm doing. And finally, we get to the device that controls everything, my Elgato Stream Deck, and the story behind this is actually very interesting. So Elgato actually sent this Stream Deck out a few years ago when I reached out to them about some accessibility improvements. If you want to know the details and the outcome of those improvements, there's a video on my channel which I'll also link in the description, but man, this thing is amazing. A lot of people think it's just a fancy macro pad with screens on it, but the software is really what separates this thing. Before I get into my camera choice, I want to thank Elgato for sending out this Stream Deck, and that brings me into giving you guys a look behind the scenes of what it looks like to start a stream. I can honestly say that my production value would not be anywhere close to what it is now without it. Being able to set folders and do all these fancy things, thank you so much, Elgato. Now my camera choice, up until the recording of this video, I was using a cheap $30 no-name camera from Amazon, and now I figured out how I can use the camera from my iPhone XR, and yes, that's my current phone. I know it's old. It is the highest quality video I've ever gotten in my setup. The site I use is called video.ninja. It gives you a link that you can paste into a browser source in OBS or just drag it into the window, and the latency and quality is pretty good. Now my camera choice is more for the benefit of you guys, but I really am a fan of high production quality, and this upgrade did not cost a single cent. Otherwise, I probably would have bought an Elgato Facecam eventually. And outside of all of that practical stuff, I've got a few decorations around here to kind of bring some character and coziness to the setup. I've got some candles hidden back there that I light when I'm editing or if I'm gaming off camera or something like that. I've got a lot of Minecraft figurines and memorabilia and stuff laying around, like this pickaxe over here. It just makes it a place that is your own. And that's it, everybody. I had a great time. I hope you like my setup. Let me know if you have any setup changes or recommendations that I can do, things that involve cable management or anything like that. Like, comment, subscribe if you enjoy this content, and I'll smell you later.